They can't find out about us.
I won't let them. You're safe with me.
I'm scared of losing you.
Never. I love you.
I love you too. Please don't go, not like this.
I have to. It's the only way.
You'll get hurt, stay with me.
I can't. I have to protect you.
I love you. Please, I have to get in.
Ma'am, I can't. It's against policy.
You don't understand, it's life or death.
I can't risk my job.
Help me, please.
All right, follow me.
I can't do this, it's too much.
Shh, look at me. You're safe.
But what if they find out?
They won't. I promise. I'm here.
Hold me.
Chapter 1. The Ice Queen of Banana Island. The Lagos skyline in January 2025 was a living contradiction. A jagged crown of glass and steel piercing the humid haze, where futuristic towers stood shoulder to shoulder with the chaotic sprawl of yellow danfos, Okada riders weaving through traffic like daredevil spirits, and the ever-present Atlantic Ocean breathing salt and possibility into the air. From the highest balcony of her Banana Island mansion, Adanna Okoye looked out over this empire of ambition and survival, her silk robe fluttering gently in the morning breeze. The infinity pool behind her reflected the rising sun like a mirror to heaven, while below, the manicured lawn stretched toward the lagoon, guarded by high walls topped with discreet razor wire and motion sensor cameras. At 38, Adanna was Nigeria's undisputed tech sovereign. Nexus Innovations, the company she had birthed in a single room in Surulere with nothing but a second-hand laptop and relentless grit, now commanded smart city contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars across West Africa. Her AI traffic systems were reshaping Lagos, reducing commute times by nearly 40% in pilot zones. Her solar-powered surveillance drones patrolled ports in Apapa, and her fintech platforms processed more mobile money than some banks. Forbes Africa had named her one of the top 10 most powerful women in Africa, and local magazines crowned her the Ice Queen, beautiful, brilliant, untouchable, and emotionally refrigerated. She took a slow sip of her espresso, black and unsweetened, the bitterness grounding her. The compound was waking up. Maids in crisp white uniforms moved like ghosts across the marble floors inside, preparing breakfast, fresh akara, moi, and a fruit platter flown in from South Africa because local options, she had decided long ago, carried too much risk of stomach trouble. Her convoy of 3 armored Mercedes SUVs waited in the driveway, engines purring softly. At the far end of the long driveway, the massive automated gate stood closed, its steel reinforced with enough strength to stop a truck. Today was transition day. Baba Musa, the head gateman who had served her loyally for 20 years, was finally retiring to his village in Ogun State. Adanna had gifted him a brand new Toyota Camry, a plot of land, and enough money to build a modest house. Loyalty like his deserved reward. But replacing him was a necessary inconvenience. Her phone vibrated on the glass table. Fatima, her personal assistant of 6 years, was calling. "Good morning, madam. The final shortlist for the gateman position is ready. 5 ex-military candidates, all with clean DSS clearance. You asked to personally review the top 2. Adanna sighed, setting her cup down. "Send the profiles to my tablet. I'll decide in 5 minutes." The files appeared instantly. She swiped through them with clinical detachment. Each man was competent. Ex-soldiers hardened by service in the Northeast against Boko Haram or peacekeeping missions abroad. Clean records, no political affiliations, basic education. But one name stood out, Chinedu Eze, 32 years old. Former sergeant with the 81st Division. Orphaned at 17 after his parents died in a ghastly motor accident on the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. Single-handedly raised his younger sister, Nneka, now 21 and studying mass communication at Unilag. References from former commanding officers praised his discipline, integrity, and quiet reliability. No social media footprint, no known vices. Adanna stared at his passport photo for a long moment. Strong jaw, dark intelligent eyes, close-cropped hair, broad shoulders that spoke of physical capability without vanity. He looked steady. In her world, steadiness was rarer than gold. "Hire Chinedu Eze," she said into the phone when Fatima called back. "Start him immediately." double the standard salary, 450,000 Nigerian nairas monthly plus quarters and benefits. I want eyes I can trust at that gate, not another gossip or opportunist. Understood, madam. He's waiting at the staff gate for orientation. Adanna ended the call and leaned against the railing. Down below, she could just make out the small figure of Baba Musa handing over keys and logbooks near the booth. A new chapter, another man on her payroll, another transaction. Love had never been part of her equation. She closed her eyes, and memories flooded in unbidden. Surulere, 1998. Little Adanna, age 11, balanced a tray of hot akara on her head as she navigated the narrow, muddy streets. The smell of frying oil and pepper filled the air, mixing with the stench of open gutters. Her mother, Mama Ngozi, had woken at 4 a.m. to grind beans and fry the bean cakes before the morning rush. Their one-room face-me-I-face-you apartment was shared with 2 other families. At night, Adanna studied by kerosene lantern, determined that books would be her ladder out. Sell everything, my daughter, Mama would say, voice tired but fierce. Education is the only inheritance I can give you. Adanna sold akara, pure water, and groundnuts after school. She topped her class every term. When a scholarship exam for a federal government college came up, she walked 3 kilometers to the venue because there was no bus fare. She won it. Then another scholarship to study computer science at Unilag. By 2010, she had her first startup, a basic SMS notification service for small businesses during the early mobile boom. The climb was brutal. Rejections from banks, investors who wanted more than equity, power outages that killed servers. But she persisted, sleeping in her office, eating Indomie for weeks. When Nexus landed its first major government contract in 2018, everything changed. By 2022, she was a multimillionaire. By 2024, a billionaire. Success came at a price. Her mother had died in 2015 from complications of untreated diabetes, too poor for proper care earlier, too late when money finally arrived. Adanna built a hospital wing in her mother's name, but the ache never left. And men? They arrived like vultures once the money flowed. Senator Adebayo in 2022. Suave, connected, whispering sweet promises of political protection. Until audits revealed he had diverted 380 million Nigerian nairas from Nexus contracts into offshore accounts. She had confronted him in this very mansion. He laughed. You think a woman like you can survive without a man like me? Then came David Okoro, the Silicon Valley returnee in 2024. Charismatic, Harvard MBA, full of visions for partnership. He leaked intimate photos to a blogger when she refused to invest in his failing crypto startup. The scandal trended for weeks. Ice Queen exposed. After that, Adanna shut the door on romance. She dated occasionally for appearances, always men of equal status, but never let them close. Men are liabilities, she told Fatima once. I buy loyalty. I don't beg for love. Back in 2025, Adanna shook off the memories and went inside. The mansion was a masterpiece of modern African luxury. 2,500 square meters of Italian marble, custom chandeliers from Murano, art pieces by Nigerian masters like Nike Davies Okunde and El Anasui, climate-controlled wine cellar with bottles worth more than most people's annual salary, a private gym, cinema room, and helipad on the roof. Her driver, Kunnel, opened the door as she descended the grand staircase. Morning, madam. Office or site visit first. Headquarters, she replied. Then Eco Atlantic. As the convoy rolled down the driveway, she watched the gate. The new gateman, Chinedu, stood at attention in his crisp navy uniform with the Nexus logo embroidered on the chest. Tall, perhaps 62, posture like a soldier. He saluted sharply as the lead car approached, then pressed the remote. The gate slid open with silent efficiency. Good morning, madam, he called out, voice deep and calm, carrying just enough to reach her through the open window. Safe travels today. She nodded once, meeting his eyes for a fraction of a second. Steady. No smile that lingered too long. No hungry glance at the cars. Just professional respect. The convoy merged into Lekki traffic, and Adanna opened her laptop. Numbers, projections, emails from Accra and Abuja. Chinedu Eze faded from her mind within minutes. The weeks that followed settled into routine. Chinedu proved efficient. The gate opened and closed flawlessly. Security logs were immaculate. He relieved the night guard promptly at 5 a.m. and stayed until 11 p.m. The other staff liked him. Quiet, no drama. Shared meals in the staff canteen without arrogance. Adanna barely noticed him at first. He was infrastructure like the generators or the fiber optic lines. Useful, invisible. But Lagos in early 2025 had other plans. February brought the usual harmattan dust and political tension ahead of local elections. Adanna's days were marathons. Board meetings where men twice her age tried to mansplain AI ethics. Site inspections where contractors quoted inflated prices because she was a woman. Evenings filled with networking dinners at the George or Balmoral Hall, where suitors circled like sharks. One such evening, after a particularly trying dinner with a potential partner who spent 90 minutes talking about his fleet of private jets, Adanna returned home past midnight. The gate opened smoothly. Chinedu stood under the security light, logging the time. She didn't acknowledge him. March arrived with heavy rains, the kind that turned Lagos into a water world. Flooded streets, stranded vehicles, floating plastic waste. Adanna had insisted on driving her red Ferrari that morning, a rare personal indulgence she kept garaged most days. On the way back from a meeting at the Nigerian Ports Authority, the car sputtered and died on the third mainland bridge. Water had seeped into the electronics. Her driver was in another vehicle behind. Furious, Adanna refused to wait in the gridlock. "I'll walk the rest of the way," she snapped, kicking off her heels and carrying them. 2 kilometers in pouring rain, designer suit clinging to her skin, hair ruined. Horns blared. Okada riders shouted offers of rescue she ignored. When she finally reached the estate, drenched and shivering, Chinedu was already outside the booth. Large black umbrella in one hand, a thermos in the other. He stepped forward without a word and shielded her. "You shouldn't walk in this weather, madame," he said, voice even against the thunder. He draped a clean, dry towel over her shoulders. It smelled faintly of detergent and something warm, perhaps the booth heater. Adanna's teeth chattered. "I don't need babysitting, Mr. Eze. Just open the inner gate." He didn't flinch. "Understood. But your health matters more than protocol. The cocoa inside is hot. Black, no sugar. I noticed from the kitchen staff." She stared at him. Rain streamed down his face, yet his expression remained composed. No fawning, no calculation, just simple, practical care. She took the thermos. The warmth seeped into her palms. "Thank you," she muttered, and walked inside. That night, in her master suite overlooking the lagoon, Adanna lay awake. The silk sheets felt cold. The mansion was silent except for the rain on the roof. She sipped the last of the cocoa, perfectly brewed, and replayed the moment. Chinedu Eze had not looked at her with desire or awe or greed. He had looked at her like a person who needed a towel and something warm. It disturbed her more than any boardroom ambush. Over the following days, she found herself observing more. Mornings, as the convoy passed, she noted how he maintained perfect posture, how he greeted every staff member by name, how, during his off moments, he tended a small garden patch behind the staff quarters, tomatoes, ugu, scent leaf, practical food, not for show. One afternoon in mid-March, while reviewing CCTV footage for a security audit, a habit she maintained personally, she paused on a clip. Chinedu helping one of the junior maids carry heavy bags of rice from the delivery truck. No flirting, just quiet assistance, then back to his post. She closed the footage. Irrelevant, she whispered to herself, yet the cracks were forming. Her past relationships replayed in her mind like cautionary tales. The senator's betrayal had cost her trust in powerful men. The tech bro's leak had cost her privacy. Each man had seen the empire first. Chinedu, by contrast, seemed to see the gate, and the woman who lived beyond it without agenda. By late March, she began small experiments. She took the front seat in the car once, just to hear his greeting clearly. "Good morning, madam. The traffic report says heavy on Ozumbambadu. Safe travels. Simple, useful, warm." She told herself it was nothing. Professional curiosity. But in the quiet hours before dawn, when Lagos was still asleep and her empire felt like a beautiful cage, Adanna Okoye wondered for the first time in years what it might feel like to be seen. Not as the Ice Queen, but simply as Adanna. The gate stood as both barrier and invitation. And behind it, a man named Chinedu waited, steady as the African sun. Chapter 2: Cracks in the Armor. The humid breath of a Lagos summer wrapped around Banana Island like a lover who refused to let go. By May 2025, the Harmattan dust had surrendered to heavy, pregnant clouds that promised rain but delivered only sticky heat and the constant growl of generators across the city. Inside her sprawling mansion, Adanna Okoye maintained an Arctic chill, literally. The central air conditioning hummed at 18 degrees Celsius, while the rest of Lagos sweated under 34-degree days and 90% humidity. Yet something inside her had begun to thaw, and she hated it. Nexus Innovations was in full conquest mode. New contracts poured in, a smart port system for Tin Can Island that would use AI to cut cargo clearance time from weeks to days, a partnership with the Ghanaian government for traffic optimization in Accra, and a flagship AI innovation hub breaking ground in Port Harcourt. Adanna worked 18-hour days, sometimes 20. Boardrooms in Abuja, virtual calls with investors in London and Dubai, site visits where engineers hung on her every word. Her empire demanded her soul, and she gave it willingly. Work was safe. Work had never betrayed her. But every morning and every evening, the gate waited. Chinedu Eze had become part of the rhythm of her life without permission. At 5:15 a.m. sharp, his tall frame appeared at the booth in the crisp navy uniform. Trousers ironed with military precision, boots polished until they reflected the security lights. He relieved the night guard with a quiet handshake and a few words in Igbo or Pidgin that always drew a laugh. By the time Adanna's convoy rolled down the palm-lined driveway, he was at full attention. "Good morning, madam," he would say each day, voice deep and steady like the Niger River at dawn. "Traffic is building on the Lekki Expressway. Alternative route via Admiralty Way might save you 20 minutes. Safe travels today." She began to notice the small variations. On Mondays, he added a note about the weather. On Fridays, he wished her a restful weekend. Never overstepping, never lingering. Yet each time their eyes met for that brief second through the tinted glass, something electric passed between them. Or maybe she was imagining it. Adanna Okoye did not imagine things. She calculated them. One Thursday in mid-May, the entire Victoria Island grid suffered one of those infamous NEPA blackouts that turned Lagos into a constellation of generator roars. Adanna was in the middle of a critical strategy session in her home office when the lights flickered and died. Her backup generator, supposed to be infallible, clicked once and remained silent. The entire mansion plunged into darkness. Alarms beeped faintly from the security system. "Fatima!" she shouted, already on her feet. "Get maintenance here now." She stormed downstairs in her silk robe, barefoot on the cool Italian marble, fury radiating off her like heat from asphalt. The staff scattered. From the staff quarters, a flashlight beam cut through the night. Chinedu appeared at the side entrance, toolbox in one hand, heavy-duty flashlight between his teeth. Grease already streaked his white undershirt. He had clearly been working on something else. "Madam," he said around the flashlight, then removed it. "I heard the generator fail from the booth. Permission to check it?" She crossed her arms, suddenly conscious that her robe was thin and she wore nothing beneath it. "Do it quickly." He moved with purpose, no wasted motion. In the generator house behind the main building, he worked by flashlight and headlamp. Adanna stood at the doorway watching, arms still folded. The diesel beast had a clogged fuel filter and a loose connection. Problems he diagnosed in under 10 minutes. His hands, calloused from army days, moved with surprising gentleness as he cleaned parts and tightened bolts. "You didn't have to come running," she said into the silence, broken only by crickets and distant generators across the lagoon. He didn't look up. It's my job to keep the estate secure, madam, including the power that runs the cameras and alarms. A dark compound is an invitation. He paused, wiping his hands on a rag. Besides, you work too hard. A woman like you deserves light and rest, not more battles after sunset. A woman like you. The words landed softly, without flattery or calculation. Not a billionaire like you or a boss like you. Just a woman. She felt exposed in a way no boardroom opponent had ever managed. The generator roared back to life. Lights flooded the compound. Chinedu gathered his tools. "Good night, madam." She watched him walk back toward the gate booth, shoulders straight despite the late hour. That night, sleep evaded her again. She stood on the balcony, Lagos twinkling across the water, and touched the place on her shoulder where his towel had rested weeks earlier during the rain. June arrived with boardroom thunder. A consortium led by an old flame, Chief Raymond Okonkwo, the man who had courted her aggressively in 2023, launched a stealth takeover attempt on Nexus. They leaked stories to the press. Ice Queen losing grip after public heartbreak. Tabloids feasted. Punch, Vanguard, and even Sahara reporters ran headlines questioning her leadership stability. Social media exploded with memes, photoshopped images of her looking emotional beside crying emojis. Adanna fought back with surgical precision. Emergency board meetings. Calls to allies in the CBN and Ministry of Communications. Late nights poring over share structures and poison pill defenses. She won, of course. The bid collapsed spectacularly on June 18th. But victory tasted like ash. She returned home at 2:17 a.m., heels in hand, designer dress wrinkled, makeup long gone. The city outside was quiet except for the occasional siren and generator hum. The gate opened smoothly. Chinedu was still at his post, reading under the single security lamp that cast a warm yellow circle around the booth. A dog-eared novel, Things Fall Apart, rested on his knee. "You should be asleep," Adanna said, stopping her car and stepping out before she could stop herself. He closed the book immediately and stood. "So should you, madam. But some nights the world needs watching." "I don't mind." Something in her broke. She walked over and sat on the small wooden bench beside the booth, the one usually occupied by guards during shift changes. The wood was warm from his presence. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Chinedu sat too, leaving respectful space between them. "Rough day?" She laughed bitterly. "Rough month. Men who think they can take what I built because I'm a woman who dared to say no to their beds and their egos." He listened without interrupting. When she finished venting about the leaks, the betrayals, the exhaustion, he spoke quietly. "In the army, we had a saying, the strongest soldier isn't the one who shoots first. It's the one who stands when everyone else has run. You stand every day, madam." This story, kindly subscribe to our channel as we proceed. "That takes more courage than any battlefield I saw in Borno or Mali." She turned to look at him fully. In the dim light, his face was calm, eyes reflecting the security lamp like still water. No pity, no agenda, just understanding. They talked until 4:30 a.m. He told her about growing up in a cramped compound in Owerri, joining the army at 18 to escape hunger. The friends lost to ambushes. The parents killed on that terrible road. Raising Neka alone, cooking for her, paying school fees from meager salary, studying at night so he could help with her assignments. "Success isn't always loud," he said. "Sometimes it's just refusing to fall." Adanna shared fragments of her own story she had never told anyone. The Accra trays as a child, the kerosene lamp nights, the terror of her first pitch meeting where investors laughed at a woman in cheap shoes proposing tech solutions, the loneliness that money only amplified. When she finally stood to leave, the sky was turning gray with dawn. "Thank you, Chinedu." "Anytime, madam. The gate is always open for you." July tested her resolve. Adanna increased his salary by 30%, unprompted, and began routing her convoy through the service entrance on certain days. Distance was safety. She accepted a dinner invitation from Chief Balogun, a Yoruba oil magnate with 3 ex-wives and a fleet of private yachts. The evening at the Oriental Hotel was polished torture. He spent 2 hours discussing his offshore accounts and subtly suggesting a merger of their empires and bodies. She returned home disgusted. Chinedu opened the gate at midnight. His eyes met hers longer than usual. He saw the defeat she tried to hide. In August, real life intruded on the fantasy she refused to name. Nneka, Chinedu's sister, contracted a severe case of malaria during the peak rainy season. Hospitals in Ajagunal were overwhelmed. Chinedu requested 2 days off, unpaid. The head of security denied it initially. "Protocol, sir. We need coverage." Adanna overheard on the internal line. She intervened personally. Not only did she grant the leave with full pay, but she dispatched her private doctor, a team of nurses, and a basket filled with medicines, fruits, and provisions to the family compound. Chinedu's grateful call came later that evening. "Madam, I don't know how to thank you. Nneka is responding well. The doctor says she'll be fine." "You don't need to thank me," Adanna replied, voice softer than she intended. "Family matters." When he returned 3 days later, he stood at the gate with a small brown paper bag. From Nneka. She made it herself once she could sit up. Inside was a beautiful beaded bracelet, red and gold beads in traditional Igbo patterns, interspersed with tiny cowries. Simple, elegant, meaningful. Adanna slipped it on immediately, wearing it under her long sleeves during meetings. It became her secret talisman. September was the month denial died. Work pressure reached fever pitch with the launch of NexusPay, her new fintech app. Adanna avoided the front gate entirely, using back entrances and delegating staff matters to Fatima. She buried herself in code reviews, investor pitches, and media training. Yet at night, memories surfaced. Chinedu fixing the generator, the late-night bench conversation, the way he carried heavy bags for the maids without being asked, the quiet pride when his tomatoes ripened. One stormy evening in late September, after a particularly draining day, she drove herself home, something she rarely did. Rain lashed the windshield. She stopped at the main gate instead of the service one. Chinedu stepped out with the umbrella as always. "Madam, everything okay?" She lowered the window, rain drumming like accusations. "Why do you do it, Chinedu?" "The extra things. The cocoa in the rain. The fixes at midnight. The watching. I pay you for the gate, not for me." He met her eyes through the downpour. Water streamed down his face, but his voice remained steady. "Because some things can't be paid for, madam. Loyalty, yes, but kindness? That's free. And you carry the weight of this city, this country even on your shoulders. Someone should notice. Someone should lighten it, even if only with cocoa and conversation." Adanna drove inside without replying, but her hands shook on the steering wheel. The bracelet felt warm against her wrist. Flashbacks consumed her now. Her mother's dying words in 2015. "Adanna, money opens many doors, but only a good heart opens the one that matters." The poverty that taught her strength but starved her of softness. The climb that built walls so high no one could reach her, until this gateman quietly walked through them. She researched his background in quiet moments. Army records, through discreet channels, confirmed everything. Commendations for bravery, honorable discharge, unwavering support for his sister. No shortcuts, no scandals, just a man building dignity brick by patient brick. Her own family, distant relatives in Enugu who surfaced only for money, would be horrified. Society would call it scandalous. The Ice Queen and the Gateman. Yet the more she fought the current, the stronger it pulled. By the end of September, the mansion felt cavernous and empty whenever she returned. She lingered at the gate some mornings, shared a quick coffee during a traffic delay, laughed, genuinely laughed, at his dry observation about Lagos drivers and their anointed horns. The armor she had forged over 15 years lay in pieces at her feet. Only Adanna remained, vulnerable, hopeful, terrified. And across the compound, under the security lights, Chinedu Eze kept watch. Steady, patient, waiting for the woman behind the Ice Queen to finally step through the gate he had opened every single day. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please kindly do that as you are enjoying this special story. Chapter 3. The Storm Breaks. December 2025 descended on Lagos like a long-awaited lover. Dry harmattan winds carrying red dust from the Sahel, turning the sky into a hazy bronze canvas by day and revealing crisp, star-studded nights. Christmas lights twinkled across the city. Giant illuminated stars on Lekki Okoye Bridge, vendors hawking plastic trees and fairy lights along Ozumbambadu, carols blasting from megachurches and street corners alike. Yet for Adanna Okoye, the season felt hollow. Another year of empire building had left her richer in every metric except the one that suddenly mattered most. She had just returned from a high-profile tech gala in Dubai, the kind of event where billionaires and royals mingled under chandeliers the size of small cars. Her private jet touched down at Murtala Muhammad Airport a little after 9 p.m. The flight had been smooth, the cabin stocked with champagne and Nigerian delicacies, chin-chin, kilishi, and fresh coconut water. But the conversations had been the same recycled emptiness. Investors probing for equity, sheiks offering strategic alliances that always circled back to marriage or control, tech bros pitching half-baked ideas wrapped in buzzwords. Adanna sat in the back of her armored Mercedes, scrolling through unread messages as the convoy navigated the chaotic Christmas traffic. Horns blared. Okadas darted between lanes. Street hawkers thrust phone chargers and roasted corn through half-open windows. Her emerald green gala gown, imported from Milan, felt constricting now, the fabric heavy with the weight of pretense. She touched the red and gold beaded bracelet on her wrist, hidden beneath her sleeve. Neka's gift, Chinedu's quiet presence. The only thing that had felt real in months. The drive from the airport through Festac, over the lagoon, and into Banana Island seemed endless. Thunder rumbled in the distance, promising one of those sudden December downpours that caught the city off guard. By the time the convoy approached the estate, fat raindrops were already splattering the windshield. The automatic gate did not slide open immediately. Instead, Chinedu Eze stepped out from the booth into the pouring rain. His navy uniform darkened instantly, clinging to his broad shoulders and chest. He stood directly in front of the lead car's headlights, unmoving, like a sentinel who had waited not just hours but an entire year. Adanna lowered the tinted window. Rain lashed inside, speckling her gown. "Chinedu, what are you doing?" "Open the gate." He didn't move. Water streamed down his face, but his eyes, those steady, dark, unflinching eyes, held hers with an intensity she had never seen before. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating the raw emotion etched on his features. "I can't do this anymore, madam," he said, voice steady despite the storm roaring around them. "Every single day for nearly 12 months, I have opened this gate for you, watched you leave before dawn and return long after midnight, seen the weight you carry, the empire, the expectations, the loneliness you hide behind perfect makeup and sharper deals. I know who I am, just the gateman, a former soldier with calloused hands, a small salary, and quarters behind the mansion. I have no jets, no billions, no powerful name, nothing to offer but myself. But I love you, Adanna, not the ice queen, not the billionaire on magazine covers. You, the woman who forgets to eat during deadlines. The woman who laughs softly at her own thoughts when she thinks no one is listening. The woman stronger than any commander I ever served under. The woman who sent doctors to my sister without being asked. I love the real you, the one who built everything from Acura trays and kerosene lamps. The driver and escort vehicles remained frozen, windows up, pretending absolute deafness. Rain hammered the roof like thunderous applause or judgment. Adanna's heart, frozen solid for years, shattered and reformed in the same instant. She stepped out of the car into the deluge. Her Louboutin heels sank into puddles, the emerald gown instantly soaked and heavy, clinging to her body. She walked straight to him, rain mixing with the tears she could no longer hold back. For 10 long seconds, they stood inches apart, lightning flashing, thunder rolling over the lagoon. Then she cupped his wet face in both hands, strong, manicured hands that had closed million-dollar deals, and kissed him, fierce, desperate, hungry. Years of denial, fear, and suppressed longing poured out like the storm itself. Chinedu's arms wrapped around her waist, lifting her effortlessly off the ground as if she weighed nothing more than the hope he had carried silently for so long. The kiss deepened, rain pouring over them, washing away every barrier society, class, and her own fears had built. When they finally broke apart, gasping, Adanna pressed her forehead to his. "I never loved any man," she whispered, voice raw against the downpour. "Not truly, until you, my Gateman, my Chinedu, my steady heart in this mad city." He laughed, a deep, wonder-filled sound that cut through the storm and spun her once before setting her down. "Then let me open more than gates for you, Adanna." The drivers eventually eased the cars inside. The gate closed behind them, but for Adanna and Chinedu, the real barrier had dissolved forever. The next morning dawned bright and scandalous. Adanna woke with Chinedu's arm draped protectively over her waist in the master suite. Sunlight filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lagoon. For the first time in years, she didn't reach for her phone immediately. She traced the line of his jaw, marveling at the quiet strength there. "I should move back to quarters," he murmured, eyes still closed. "Staff will talk." "Let them," she replied, kissing his shoulder. "You're not staff anymore. You're home." By noon, movers, discreet and well-paid, had transferred his few belongings into the main house. His worn novels joined her rare first editions. His army boots stood beside her Louboutins in the walk-in closet. The mansion, once a gleaming monument to solitude, began to echo with new life. Lego society, however, erupted. The tabloids went wild by evening. Punch headline: "Ice Queen melts for Gateman in Banana Island rainstorm." Vanguard ran exclusive photos, somehow leaked, of the drenched kiss. Social media exploded. Banana Island romance trended for days alongside #ClassNoBarrier and #LoveVersusMoney. Instagram influencers debated it endlessly. Some praised the romance as proof that love conquers all. Others sneered, "She's lost her mind. Empire will crumble." Radio call-ins on Nigeria Info and Classic FM were flooded. Adanna's distant relatives in Enugu called in outrage. Auntie Ifeoma, the loudest, video called at 7 p.m. "Adanna, what is this madness? A Gateman? After all we suffered? Think of your mother's name. Think of the empire. Send him away before enemies use this against you." Adanna sat on the balcony with Chinedu, phone on speaker. "Auntie, the empire is stronger than ever. And Chinedu is not a liability, he is my strength. Money opened doors. He opened my heart. If you cannot accept that, the transfers will continue, but the conversations end here." She ended the call calmly. Chinedu squeezed her hand. "They'll come around. Or they won't. Either way, we build our own family." Challenges arose, as they always do when worlds collide. Staff dynamics shifted awkwardly at first. The head of security, an ex-police officer, struggled with addressing Chinedu as Oga. Maids whispered in the kitchen. Chinedu handled it with characteristic grace, helping with compound maintenance, sharing army stories during staff meals, never flaunting his new position. Within weeks, respect replaced gossip. Class differences surfaced in small, poignant ways. Chinedu taught her the simple joy of eating roadside suya at midnight or cooking jollof rice over firewood the way his mother did during power outages. Adanna introduced him to fine wine and private jet travel. He laughed at the excess but adapted, reminding her gently, "Too much comfort makes a person forget how to stand when the rain comes." In January 2026, Adanna launched the Chinedu Eze Foundation for ex-military entrepreneurs, seed funding, training, and mentorship for veterans like him. The first cohort included 10 men and women from his old unit. Seeing his quiet pride as they pitched business ideas filled her with a fulfillment no Forbes cover ever had. They traveled quietly, a weekend in Calabar during the carnival, where he showed her the mangroves and they danced at the cultural parade. A low-key trip to Enugu where he introduced her to extended family, who welcomed her with open arms and plates of onugbu soup. In quiet moments, he read to her from his favorite books. She taught him basic coding, laughing as his large fingers struggled on the keyboard. By March, the scandal had faded into acceptance. Nexus stock rose, public sympathy, and the foundation's good press helped. Adanna's inner circle, starting with Fatima, embraced Chinedu fully. On New Year's Eve 2026, under the very same gate where the storm had broken everything open, Adanna proposed. The compound was decorated with soft lights. No paparazzi, just them, a bottle of champagne, and the lagoon breeze. She went down on one knee, reversing tradition with a smile, and held out a simple platinum ring with a single Nigerian ruby. Chinedu Eze, you open my gate every day. Now open my life forever. Will you marry me? He pulled her up instantly, eyes shining. Yes, Adanna. 1,000 times yes. The wedding, months later, was intimate yet meaningful. Traditional Igbo and modern fusion at a private venue overlooking the ocean. No excessive display, just family, those who came, close friends, and the staff who had witnessed their journey. In the years that followed, their love deepened the way good Lagos rain nourishes the earth. Adanna remained the visionary force behind Nexus, but with Chinedu's steady hand, she learned balance. Rest, laughter, presence. He became her advisor, her protector, her partner in every sense. Together they built legacies far richer than billions. Schools for orphans, tech hubs in forgotten communities, and a home filled with the sound of future children's laughter. The Ice Queen had not melted. She had transformed stronger, warmer, whole. And the Gateman? He had never sought to tame her. He had simply loved her enough to stand in the storm until she stepped out to meet him. Because in the end, the greatest fortune Adanna Okoye ever discovered was not in boardrooms or bank accounts. It waited patiently at her own gate in 2025, in the heart of a man who saw her first as a woman and forever as home. Thank you for listening to this wonderful story. Kindly, comment, like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. We love you, don't forget that.
Carl, please, I can't lose you.
You won't, I promise.
But it's so dangerous.
I'll come back to you, always. I love you.
Please, I have to see him now.
Ma'am, I can't let you in.
It's life or death, you don't understand.
I have my orders.
Please help me.
All right, stay here.
Please, I have to see him now.
Ma'am, I can't let you in.
It's life or death, you don't understand.
I have my orders.
Please help me.
All right, stay here.
Please, I have to see him now.
Ma'am, I can't let you in.
It's life or death, you don't understand.
I have my orders.
Please help me.
All right, stay here.
I can't pretend anymore.
You don't have to.
I love you.
I love you too.
I can't pretend anymore.
You don't have to.
I love you.
I love you too.
I can't pretend anymore.
You don't have to.
I love you.
I love you too.
I must get inside now.
Ma'am, I can't let you in.
This is an emergency. Open the gate.
I need to see ID and clearance.
This is ridiculous. Please don't go. Not like this.
I have to. It's the only way.
You'll get hurt. Stay with me.
I can't. I have to protect you.
I love you. Please, I have to get in.
Ma'am, I can't. It's against policy.
You don't understand. It's life or death.
I can't risk my job.
Help me, please.
All right, follow me.
Please, I have to get in.
Ma'am, I can't. It's against policy.
You don't understand. It's life or death.
I can't risk my job.
Help me, please.
All right, follow me.
They can't find out about us.
I won't let them. You're safe with me.
I'm scared of losing you.
Never. I love you.
I love you too. I can't do this. It's too much.
Shh, look at me. You're safe.
But what if they find out?
They won't. I promise. I'm here.
Hold me.